In my long life, I have seen great changes. In the days when I went to law school, my entering class at Harvard was over 500 students, and only 9 were women. There was no anti-discrimination law, so employers were totally upfront in saying, we don't want any lady lawyers here.
Sex, like race, has been made the basis for unjustified, or at least unproved assumptions concerning an individual's potential to perform or to contribute to society. These distinctions have a common effect. They help keep woman in her place, a place inferior to that occupied by men in our society.
I did see myself as kind of a kindergarten teacher in those days because the judges didn't think sex discrimination existed. Well, one of the things I tried to plant in their minds was think about how you would like the world to be for your daughters and granddaughters.
In my lifetime, I expect to see 3, 4, perhaps even more women on the High Court bench, women not shaped from the same mold, but of different complexions. I surely would not be in this room today without the determined efforts of men and women who kept dreams of equal citizenship alive.
I will announce a dissent from the bench if I think that the court not only got it wrong, but egregiously wrong. It holds the most hope for the world if countries allow women to do, as I said, whatever their God-given talent enables them to do. I think we will all be better off for it. When I'm asked, when will there be enough women on the court, my stock answer is when there are 9, of course.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
Because not a single thing he said is accurate.
You want to ask basically why I'm pro-life? It's not simply because of my Catholic faith. That's a factor, of course. But it's also because of reason and science. For our 7-week ultrasound for our firstborn child. And we saw that heartbeat.
With regard to abortion, I accept my church's position on abortion as what we call de fide doctrine. Life begins at conception. That's the church's judgment. I accept it in my personal life. But I refuse to impose it on equally devout Christians and Muslims and Jews. And I just refuse to impose that on others, unlike my friend here, the congressman. I do not believe that we have a right to tell other people that women, they can't control their body. It's a decision between them and their doctor. In my view, in the Supreme Court, I'm not going to interfere with that.
They passed the stimulus. The idea that we could borrow $831 billion, spend it on all these special interest groups, and that it would work out just fine. That unemployment would never get to 8%. It went up above 8% for 43 months. They said that right now, if we just passed this stimulus, the economy would grow at 4%. It's growing at 1.3.
And I love my friend here. I'm not allowed to show letters, but go on our website. He sent me 2 letters saying, by the way, Can you send me some stimulus money for companies here in the state of Wisconsin? We sent millions of dollars. You know why he said
You did
he
ask for stimulus money,
Sure he
correct?
did. By the way,
On
he
two
took the-
occasions, we advocated for constituents who are applying for grants. That's what we do. We do that for all constituents who are
Oh,
applying.
I love that. I love that. This is such a bad program, and he writes me a letter saying, writes the Department of Energy a letter saying, the reason we need this stimulus, it will create growth and jobs. His words. Governor Romney on 60 Minutes, I guess it was about 10 days ago, was asked, Governor, you pay 14% on $20 million. Someone making $50,000 pays more than that. Do you think that's fair? He said, oh, yes, that's fair. That's fair. And they're going to talk about, you think these guys are going to go out there and cut those loopholes? The loophole, the biggest loophole they take advantage of is the carried interest loophole and capital gains loophole. They exempt that. Now, there's not enough. The reason why the AEI study, the American Enterprise Institute study, the Tax Policy Center study, the reason they all say taxes are going to go up in the middle class, the only way you can find $5 trillion in loopholes is cut the mortgage deduction for middle class people, cut the health care deduction for middle class people, take away their ability to get a tax break to send their kids to college. That's why they
Is
arrive
he wrong about that?
He is wrong about that.
How's that?
You can cut tax rates by 20% and still preserve these important preferences for middle-class taxpayers.
Not mathematically possible.
It is mathematically possible. It's been done before. It's precisely what we're proposing.
It has never been done before.
It's been done a couple of times, actually.
It has never been
Jack
done
Kennedy
before.
lowered tax rates, increased growth. Ronald
Oh,
Reagan.
now you're Jack Kennedy.
Ronald Reagan. Republicans and
amazing.
Democrats have worked together on this. I
That's right.
understand you guys aren't used to
But
doing
we've told
bipartisan
each other
deals.
what we're going to do. When we did it with
Republicans
Reagan,
and
he said,
Democrats.
here are the
we
things
said,
we're
here's
going to
the
cut.
framework.
Here's
Let's
what
work
he
together
said.
to fill in the details. That's
Fill in
exactly.
the details.
That's how you get things done. You work with
There's-
Congress. Look, let me say it this way. Mitt
That's
Romney
coming
was
from
governor.
the Republican Congress working bipartisanly.
Mitt Romney.
7% rating.
Mitt Romney.
We immediately went out and rescued General Motors. We went ahead and made sure that we cut taxes for the middle class. And in addition to that, when that occurred, what did Romney do? Romney said, no, let Detroit go bankrupt. We moved in and helped people refinance their homes. Governor Romney said, no, let foreclosures hit the bottom. But it shouldn't be surprising for a guy who says 47% of the American people are unwilling to take responsibility for their own lives. My friend recently in a speech in Washington said 30% of the American people are takers. These people are my mom and dad, the people I grew up with, my neighbors. They pay more effective tax than Governor Romney pays in his federal income tax. They are elderly people who, in fact, are living off of Social Security. There are veterans and people fighting in Afghanistan right now who are, quote, not paying any taxes. I've had it up to here with this notion that 47%, it's about time they take some responsibility here. They should be signing a pledge saying to the middle class, we're going to level the playing field. We're going to give you a fair shot again. We are going to not repeat the mistakes we made in the past by having a different set of rules for Wall Street and Main Street.
We cannot allow Iran to gain a nuclear weapons capability. In order to solve this peacefully, which is everybody's goal, you have to have the Ayatollahs change their minds. They say the military option's on the table, but it's not being viewed as credible. And the key is to do this peacefully is to make sure that we have credibility.
Imagine had we let the Republican Congress work out the sanctions. You think there's any possibility the entire world would have joined us? Russia and China, all of our allies. These are the most crippling sanctions in the history of sanctions, period. When Governor Romney's asked about it, he said, we got to keep these sanctions. When you say, well, you're talking about doing more, what you're going to go to war? Is that what you want to do now?
We want to prevent war.
The interesting thing is how they're going to prevent war. How are they going to prevent war? They say there's nothing more that they say we should do than what we've already done. There is no weapon that the Iranians have at this point. Both the Israelis and we will know if they start the process of building a weapon. So all this bluster I keep hearing, all this loose talk, what are they talking about? Are you talking about to be more credible? What more can the president do? Stand before the United Nations, tell the whole world, directly communicate to the Ayatollah, we will not let them acquire a nuclear weapon, period, unless he's talking about going to war.
You really don't think there is any hypocrisy at all. Back in 2016, after Justice Scalia died, President Obama named federal Judge Merrick Garland as his new nominee to the court. And as you well know, you were part of the Senate then, Senate Republicans blocked the choice of Garland. Here's what you said at that time.
In a few short months, we will have a new president and new senators who can consider the next justice with the full faith of the American people. Why would we cut off the national debate about this next justice? Why would we squelch the voice of the people? Why would we deny the voters a chance to weigh in on the makeup of the Supreme Court?
Now, Garland was nominated 9 months before the election, and you were saying then, 9 months before the election, it was wrong to deny voters a chance to weigh in. So if it was wrong then, 9 months before the election, why is it okay now, 6 weeks before the election?
So, Chris, in 2014, the American people elected a Republican majority of the Senate to put the brakes on President Obama's judicial nominations. In 2018, we had a referendum on this question. Just a month before the 2018 midterms, we had the vote on Justice Kavanaugh. There could not have been a clearer mandate because the American people didn't just re-elect Republicans, they expanded our majority. They defeated 4 Democratic senators who voted against Justice Kavanaugh. They re-elected the 1 Democratic senator who did vote for Justice Kavanaugh. So we have a clear mandate to perform our constitutional duty. That's what the Senate majority will do now. That's what we did back in 2016 as well.
You really don't think there is any hypocrisy at all?
The Senate majority is performing our constitutional duty and fulfilling the mandate that the voters gave us.
I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say, Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination, and you could use my words against me, and you'd be absolutely right.
It has been 80 years since a Supreme Court vacancy was nominated and confirmed in an election year. There is a long tradition that you don't do this in an election year. And I believe the right thing to do is for the Senate to take up this nomination and to confirm the nominee before Election Day.
Well, I have the view, and expressed it early on, that the next president should make this nomination. So the question is, who should make the decision? And my view, and I can now confidently say the view shared by virtually everybody in my conference, is that the nomination should be made by the president the people elect in the election that's underway right now.
It's the will of the American people and their voices that need to be heard. And that's the point that we are making with respect to this Supreme Court vacancy as well. The next president of the United States, be it a Democrat or a Republican, should be making that nomination.
I think it's going to move very quickly, actually. I agree with the statement put out by Mitch McConnell. I agree with it actually 100%.
The American people trust you on the pandemic when you're contradicting the head of the CDC and your
because of the great job we've done. We'll be able to distribute at least 100 million vaccine doses by the end of 2020 and a large number much sooner than that.
I think there will be vaccine that initially be available
sometime between November and December, but very limited supply and will have to be prioritized. If you're asking me when is it going to be generally available to the American public so we can begin to take advantage of vaccine to get back to our regular life, I think we're probably looking at late second quarter, third quarter, 2021.
Mr. President, earlier today, Dr. Redfield confirmed that it looked like November, December, the first doses would be able to be distributed. But then he said that the vaccine for the general public likely would not be available until probably next summer, maybe even early fall. Are you comfortable with that timeline?
No, I think he made a mistake when he said that. It's just incorrect information. And I called him, and he didn't tell me that, and I think he got the message maybe confused. Maybe it was stated incorrectly. No, we're ready to go immediately as the vaccine is announced, and it could be announced in October, could be announced a little bit after October. But once we go, we're ready. I don't think he means that. I don't think when he said it, I believe he was confused. I think he just made a mistake. He just made a mistake. I think he misunderstood the question, probably.
I might even go so far as to say that this face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than when I take a COVID vaccine.
But why not devote your energy now to a campaign to have all Americans wear a mask, something that, if more effective than a vaccine, would also help schools and the economy?
Okay, number one, it's not more effective by any means than a vaccine, and I called him about that. Those were the two things I discussed with him. And I believe that if you ask him, he would probably say that he didn't understand the question. When I called up Robert today, I said to him, what's with the mask? He said, I think I answered that question incorrectly. I think maybe he misunderstood it. As far as the mask is concerned, he made a mistake. So we're down in this territory, and that's despite the fact that the blue states had tremendous death rates. If you take the blue states out, we're at a level that I don't think anybody in the world would be at. We're really at a very low level, but some of the states, they were blue states, and blue state managed. I think he just made a mistake. He just made a mistake. I think he misunderstood the question, probably.
I just want people to know we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. I am a registered nurse working the ICU, bachelor degree, but I'm sitting at home now, month 6, taking care of grandkids, so my family can be, they're essential employees, they can be out working. The reason I'm so frustrated is because, and fearful because in the beginning of this damn pandemic, all I could think of, because of my nurse, is germs and infection, and am I disinfecting enough? Have I missed something? Has somebody not washed their hands? Being a germaphobe in a pandemic is not a good thing. I'm frustrated because if Trump gets elected again, not only are more people going to die, but our country, as bad as it is now, could end up in war. I didn't vote for him in 2016. I'm a Republican. I didn't vote for him in 2016 because I knew a failed businessman had no business as a president of the United States. I've been planning on doing this video for a couple of months now. I was going to put on some makeup and follow bullet points. and sound like a coherent human being, but right now, I'm so angry and frustrated that here we are. This is what you got. Everybody's frustrated, everybody's tired, and I'm past it. And I just want people to know we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. It didn't have to be this way. We didn't have to lose 200,000 people. 200,000, that's unfathomable. I was going to give you a big speech about Christianity and being a Republican, but this is what you got.